Welcome to our August 17th Zoom Satsang presentation. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And our first topic. This presentation is entitled The Agamic Aspect of Temple Worship and is part 3 of 3 parts. Next we will look at the 4 sections contained in many agamas that describe the 4 progressive practices which are called padas. They are charya, service, kriya, worship, yoga, meditation, and jnana, attainment or enlightenment. Let's look in turn at each of these 4 in more depth. A theme that dominates is the centrality of the temple. Clearly, regularly performing service and worship at the temple is the core agamic practice. And a question for you. What is the marga for the charya pada? A reminder, the pada is the practice. Each pada has a corresponding marga. And the marga describes the relationship between the soul and God Shiva. So what is the relationship between the soul and God Shiva in the charya pada? The first stage of religiousness on the path and the foundation for the next 3 stages is called charya, literally conduct. It is also called the dasa marga, meaning path of servitude. For here the soul relates to God as servant to master. The disciplines of charya include humble service, tending the temple, performing one's duty to community and family, honoring holy men, respecting others, and atoning for misdeeds. The Charyapada includes fulfilling the 10 classical restraints called yamas. The classical depiction of restraint is the charioteer pulling back on the reins of a team of horses to keep them under control. Charya is the stage of overcoming basic instinctive patterns such as the tendencies to become angry and hurtful. Right behavior and self-sacrificing service are never outgrown. This is where the yamas come into play. The yamas give us a list of qualities we need to develop to effectively control the instinctive mind. The 10 yamas are non-injury, truthfulness, non-stealing, divine conduct, and patience. Steadfastness, compassion, honesty, moderate appetite, and purity. The keynote of charya, karma yoga, is seva, religious service given without the least thought of reward, which has the magical effect of softening the ego and bringing forth the soul's innate devotion. The Saivite scripture, Tirumandaram by Tirumallar, describes the Charyapada or Dasamarga in verse 1502. Performing with love tasks such as lighting the lamps, plucking flowers, cleaning the floor, praising, ringing the bell, and gathering the materials for Abhishekam is the Dasamarga. And next question to you, what is the marga for the Kriya Pada? The second stage of religiousness on the path is called Kriya, literally action or rite. The Agamic demands deep devotion through bhakti yoga in the Kriya Pada, softening the intellect and unfolding love. It is also called the Satputra Marga, for here the soul relates to God as a son to his parents. Kriya is a stirring of the soul in awareness of the divine, overcoming the obstinacy of the instinctive intellectual mind. We now look upon the deity image not just as carved stone, but as the living presence of the God. We perform ritual and puja not because we have to, but because we want to, and are drawn to the temple to satisfy our longing. Sing joyfully, absorb and intuit the wisdom of the Vedas and Agamas, perform pilgrimage, and fulfill the sacraments. As part of Kriya, we practice diligently the 10 classical observances called niyamas. The practice of the niyamas develops a more cultured nature that takes joy in scriptural study, devotional practices, and helping others. The niyamas focus on expressing our soul nature in our outer actions. That's a good sentence. The niyamas focus on expressing our soul nature in our outer actions. Sometimes our outer actions don't reflect it at all. 10 niyamas are remorse, contentment, giving, faith, worship of the Lord, scriptural listening, cognition, sacred vows, recitation, austerity. Tirumanduram, verse 1496, describes the Kriya Pada or Satputra Marga. Performing pujas, reading, praising, reciting mantras, faultless good austerities, truthfulness, being without envy. Yourself lovingly preparing the rice offering. These plus other purifying actions constitute the faultless Satputra Marga. And next question to you, what is the Marga for the Yoga Pada? The third stage of the path is called yoga. Yoga, union, is the process of uniting with God within oneself, a stage arrived at through perfecting charya and kriya. It is also called the Sakha Marga. For now God is like a friend to us. So Sakha, friend. This system of inner discovery begins with asana, sitting quietly in yogic posture, pranayama, breath control, pratyahara, sense withdrawal, brings awareness into dharana, concentration, then into dhyana, meditation. Over the years, under ideal conditions, the kundalini fire of consciousness ascends to the higher chakras, burning the dross of ignorance and past karmas. Dhyana finally leads to ecstasy, first to Sabakalpa Samadhi, the contemplative experience of Satchidananda, and ultimately to Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Parashiva. Truly, a living Satguru is needed as a steady guide to traverse this path. When yoga is practiced by one perfected in Kriya, the gods receive the yogi into their midst through his awakened fiery kundalini. Tirumandaram, verse 1492, describes the Yoga Pada or Sakha Marga. In Sakha Marga, one explores the adaras. Adaras means chakras. One explores the adaras, which purifies the nadis. Then the 16 kalas, starting from Metai and ending in heavenly radiance. The ordinary sense organs and intellect are left behind in the inner temple of wisdom. What is the marga for the Jnanapada? The fourth stage of the path is called jnana. It is also called the sanmarga, for here God and the soul are united. Jnana is divine wisdom emanating from an enlightened being, a soul in its maturity, immersed in Shivaness, the blessed condition of realization of God, while living out earthly karma. Jnana is the fruition of yoga tapas. Through yoga, one bursts into the superconscious mind, experiencing bliss, all-knowingness, and perfect silence. It is when the yogi's intellect is shattered that he soars into Parashiva and comes out a jnani. Each time he enters that unspeakable nirvikalpa samadhi, he returns to consciousness more and more than knower. He is the liberated one, the Jivan Mukta, the epitome of Kaivalya, perfect freedom, far-seeing, filled with light, filled with love. One does not become a jnani simply by reading and understanding philosophy. The state of jnana lies in the realm of intuition beyond the intellect. Tirumandaram, verse 1481, describes the jnanapada, or sanmarga. I became he, destroying the 5 impurities, being liberated through the teaching of silence, enjoying the bliss attained in perfect experiential wisdom, and the I becoming he is sanmarga. In conclusion, it is clear the need is to progress through these 4 padas of religious practice, through first understanding what the sadhanas of each stage are, and then performing these sadhanas regularly. This is what causes spiritual transformation to take place and brings us ever closer to God. As described in Tirumandaram, verse 1507. Saloka's revolving world is achieved through charya. Through mastery of charya in Saloka, samipya is achieved. When the great loka is reached, that will be the path to Sarupa. Then one becomes Paran, who is beyond the great loka. Gurudeva commented, Charya, Kriya, Yoga, and Jnana are the sequence of the soul's evolutionary process, much like the natural development of a butterfly from egg to caterpillar, from caterpillar to pupa, and then the final metamorphosis to butterfly. These are 4 padas or stages through which each human soul must pass in many births to attain its final goal. Before entering these spiritual stages, the soul is immersed in the lower nature, the anava marga, or self-centered path, bound in fear and lust, hurtful rage, jealousy, confusion, selfishness, consciencelessness, and malice. Then it awakens into charya, unselfish religious service, or karma yoga. Once matured in charya, it enters kriya, devotion or bhakti yoga, and finally blossoms into kundalini yoga, meaning raja yoga. Jnana is the state of enlightened wisdom reached toward the path's end as a result of self-realization. Gurudeva is emphasizing that the 4 padas are not alternative ways, but progressive cumulative steps on a one path. And we have another section here. 9 ways of merging with Shiva from the introduction to merging with Shiva. See how good your memory is on this. Merger. That is what this book, the 3rd book in the trilogy of Dancing with Shiva, Living with Shiva, and Merging with Shiva, is all about. Some of the big questions about something as wonderful as becoming one with the universe or with God are, is merger something to accomplish in this lifetime, or shall we put it off to another round? Is merger something that can be achieved even in future lives, or should we consider that it might never happen? or that it just might happen unexpectedly? Is merger with Shiva complete annihilation, an undesirable nothingness that we should delay as long as possible? Shall we cease all striving for realization and wait for Mahapralaya, the end of the universe, the great dissolution commanded by Lord Shiva, when every soul, young or old, merges in the all of the all, no exceptions, no one left behind, the ultimate perk of the divine cosmic drama, the guarantee of final merger of every soul? Fortunately, the next Big Bang may happen after Shiva gets lonely, dancing by himself, and starts his creation all over again. That's a beautiful statement done by Gurudeva. Merger on the great inner path described in this book is already happening in your life and in the life of every soul on the planet, and the natural course of evolution. In Sanskrit, we express merging with Shiva as Shiva Sayujya, intimate union with the divine. 9 progressive ways of merging with Shiva are possible today, in fact, impossible to avoid. Shall we now explore these 9 ways, the wonderful ways of merging with Shiva as we walk the Sanmarga, the straight path of Dharma? So I'm going to ask you what each one is before I read it. What is the first merger? A jiva or soul merges with his potential mother, who gives a physical body to which his astral body is attached. This is the first merger. What is the second one? Then, when his first guru, the parents, train him to quell the instinctive mind and become a producing member of the family and the social and global communities, the second merger occurs. Why should these 2 developments be related to merging with the Supreme? It is because Shiva is the life of our lives, as the Venerable Saints teach. Shiva is the life of all sentient and insentient beings, the sea of prana, ever emanating mysteriously from the all of the allness of his mystery, being by which all life exists and all happenings happen. Therefore, to merge energies with all other humans without making differences is to find Shivaness in all and within all. What is the third merger? Having merged with the biological and social worlds, it then is for the young jiva embodied soul to be introduced by the parents to the family guru for spiritual training. Obedience and devotion to the guru is again another merger into Shivaness. For the Satguru is Sada Shiva, or Shiva in form, having realized Shiva in formlessness. It is from the Satguru's constant silent emanation that the Shishya thrives, as do flowering trees, bushes, and vines thrive and grow from the sun's silent rays and the occasional showers of rain. No words need be spoken, for both Shishya and Guru know the same. The Shishya, having had his training in scripture, divine inspiration of song, meaning and dance from his first Guru, the parents. What is the fourth merger? Having walked the Sanmarga through the Charya and Kriya Margas, and having disciplined mind and emotions, the Shishya is ready for the fourth merger into Shivaness. This is accomplished through art, calligraphy, drawing divine forms, writing out scripture in one's own hand, and depicting through drama by learning and playing music, by having all bodily currents move into the rhythm of the sounds of nature, for nature is nada in the external. It has its own choreography, and this merger is with Nataraja, Lord of the Dance. It is also the merger with knowledge of all kinds of language and mathematics, of the many sciences and arts. What is the fifth merger? The fifth merger is deeper, endeavoring to penetrate the intuitive world, communing with nature, encountering the many dreams, visions, and other mystical experiences that await the seeker of truth. It is merger with the selfless life of seeing oneself in others and others in oneself, of losing the barriers that divide one from another and the internal world from the external world. It is living a harmonious life with a heart filled with love, trust, and understanding for all, desiring to give rather than wanting only to receive. And what is the sixth one? Sixth merger. The light that lights each thought picture when traced to its source is the sixth merger. The yoga of detaching awareness from that which it is aware of and being the light that lights the thoughts, rather than claiming identity as being the thoughts, then tracing this light of the mind out of the mind into the beyond of the beyond. Yea, this is the sixth way we merge into the divine. The Lord of the Dance emanates his own lighting effects, does his own choreography, creates his own music, and enjoys, as the audience, his own performance. And what is the seventh merger? The seventh merger is into the Nada Nadi Shakti, that unrelenting sound heard as an inexplainable E of 1,000 Venas being played simultaneously by Vinadhara, another form of Lord Shiva, the maker of sound, the composer of the symphony. The nada is traced to its source, deep within the within, the city of 1,000 lights and sounds, for sound is light and light is sound in this sphere of Sat Chit Ananda. All-pervasive oneness with all form, the self flowing through the mind, untouched by it, yet sustaining it in a mightily mysterious way. What is the eighth merger? The eighth merger with Shiva is Parashiva. Becoming and being timeless, formless, spaceless is the total transformation of the soul body, the mental body, the astral body, the pranic body, and the physical body. It is the breaking of seals which subsequently makes changes never to be repaired. A new and entirely new process begins. It is the ultimate healing of all karmas, the ultimate knowing of Dharma. And the last one, the ninth merger, what is it? And now, lastly, once the soul evolves out of the physical, pranic, emotional, mental, and causal sheaths, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya koshas, and they are needed no more, it evolves into Vishvagrasa, the ninth and final merger with Shiva, As an infant effortlessly becomes a child a youth, and a youth an adult, yes, the soul, jiva, encased in 5 bodies, is indeed merged into the emanator, preserver, and absorber of the inner and outer universes, as simply as a drop of water merges into the ocean, never to be found again. This is the timeless path the holy Vedas of the Sanatana Dharma proclaim. As a seed becomes a bud and a bud becomes a flower, these 9 steps of spiritual unfoldment are inevitable for all humankind. A parallel analysis, known as Dasa Karyam, 10 attainments, is found in ancient Tamil texts. So we can look at that sometime. But not today. And our second topic, character qualities. From our workbook, we are in the T's. Thoroughness is the 60th character quality. Only a few more to go here, up to 60. How would you define thoroughness? The workbook gives this definition. Thoroughness is the quality of taking pains to do things carefully and completely. I cultivate it by properly completing every detail of a task before I consider it finished. The opposite is cursoriness. So thoroughness versus cursoriness. And Gurudeva's quotes. Finish that which you begin. Finish it well, beyond your expectations, no matter how long it takes. If you are going to do something, do it well, no matter if it is a simple task or a complicated one. If you're going to read a book and intend to finish the book, then read the book, finish the book, and understand what it had to offer you, for that was the purpose for reading it. That's a very good exercise. Whenever you read something, take a moment. Say, what does that mean? Have I understood it? Sometimes we just keep going, but we should stop and understand it. Tremendous will is needed on the path of self-realization, of drawing the forces of energy together, of drawing awareness away from that which it is aware of constantly, of finishing each job that we begin in the material world and doing it well. Make everything that you do satisfy the inner scrutiny of your being. Do a little more than you think that you are able to do. And reflection. Take a moment to identify a few ways in which you could improve in thoroughness. Our third topic is quotes from Yoga Swami's words of our Master. Electric waves are nothing compared with thought waves. The thoughts of others come and dash against me. What does that mean to you? What strikes me is that when we think about someone, we are sending a thought wave that reaches them. They may not be conscious of it, but it affects them nevertheless. Therefore, think positive thoughts about others, not negative ones. Positive thoughts help others, whereas negative thoughts hinder what the person is currently doing. Interesting to think about. Next quote, if you remain at the top, you will see no differences. You can preach Dharma only when you come down. If you remain at the top, you will see no difference. If you remain at the top and see, everything will appear as one. That one always remains pure. Nothing can pollute it. The world is always pure. When you look outwards, you see the dog, the cat, good and bad, great and small. The world is sacred and secret. What does that mean to you? What strikes me is the one omnipresent consciousness, Satchidananda, is what is always pure. Oh, thank you very much. Om. Om.